Irashaimase. Tadaima. I am looking at a task. The task I want to complete is separating these two rows so that I can put them in different places. Data-driven routing by hue should be this bottom row, and I think I'm going to call the one, oh, there's paste. We're going to call this one data-driven routing by arrow. Take off the word copy. Now, let's put it on my app view. Routing by arrow. Oops. It's hollering at me to fix the thing. I haven't. Okay. So, the mistake there was hitting Control S before I fixed both of those. Not much of a mistake, but whatever. So, we're gonna put here by arrow. And I expect to see another set. Yep, there's another set. Now, let's go with arrow. It's the top row. So I'm going to come down and delete this. And voila. Now, I'd like to have a gap between these. That didn't work. Gap 33 maybe? That didn't work. I think ChatGPT at its best is a programming tool because I'm not asking it anything email. I'm just asking it to produce code that I don't have memorized. So I want this to have a gap of 33 pixels between cells. Well, I could just flexbox it, I suppose. Let's break one thing at a time. I have center, I have div. Mel would be upset if he knew I had center, but it's the crutch. Why is that? Oh, I see. Any more little boo-boos? Okay. Copy code. Put it here. Ah, there's my arrows. Minus all the fun stuff. So thing Unicode. assume it would look. Let's go back here. Cheat a little bit. Fix this. I have mistakenly copied it before it was ready for me, so I always make sure that, you know, it's done now. I've copied, pasted, blocking out the old. Oh, this is the wrong thing. Alright. Resave it. Which means, okay. Routing by arrow. Copy code. There we go. I like my spins, but they seem to be a little crazy for this page. I should probably comment them out. Looks like I broke something. It is saying don't use public, but that's not this problem. Oh, no? Why? Just do that. New quote. There. Ugh, and you're still not right. I did think that was going to be easier. Okay. We'll let that just sit for a little bit. Alright. Driven by hue. So now we're going to delete this because we have it working in the other div or the other file. There we go. So let's flexbox this. Please flexbox this with 30 pixels gap. There it is. center. Let's make sure that it's all commented out. It is. And there we go. Centered vertically. Save these. I think this is what ChatGPT is good for. Not sure where the rest of my page went. Oh. I'm not sure where my buttons went. Oh. Alright, they're just further. Okay. That is a big open space. Why do I need that much space? Maybe I should just put a height. That didn't do it. Oh. Oh. Let's just take all that off. There we go. Ah. Alright, I want it to vertically align inside the cells. It only gives you the right answer if you ask the right question. Alright. I want to vertically center the images inside the cells. Got it. And here you can see again, I'm just commenting it out. I'm pretty sure this is how you end up with, well, annoying code. I'll definitely have to clean it up later. There we go. So, class, I also want it to have some padding. I'm pretty sure I type pad. Oh, that is not width, height. Oh, I should just do this. There we go. Now, one more thing. Well, here, I'll just do this. Take off a bunch of zeros. Well, that's not working. There we go. Alright, let's take off the extra right arrow. to do. Alright. So let's look at the big picture. Actually, when things are working, we're supposed to push to get commit. Let's do the get commit. So how do I do that? Control C. I'm looking at this project, not the combination of all five. So C, not C. And I'm going to git add dot. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get in trouble for not looking at it first. Git commit. Buttons. No. Data driven split into arrows and views. Git push, which is the public GitHub, which is awesome. Now, let's see. Trying to be aware of time. 16 minutes. It's not too bad. I think I'm just gonna take off the top. Reminding myself that Christian's lie is not especially helpful at the moment, and has a lot of baggage behind it. Let's see. So let's go to app, view, right aligned. Let's see, header. Let's go to header, and for now I'm just gonna comment things out because I'm doing things off the cuff without plotting ahead of time. Oh, because I didn't restart it again. So I'm going to just go from here without loading up the others, trying to bog my computer down a little bit less. npm run dev. Reload. Invalid and tag. Right, because I took off one of the things. I think that works. There we go. Alright. That looks a little bit less awful. So I've got these have intentions, but I don't need to worry about that right now. Here's my hue bar. When I add buttons, they should go along the spectrum. And I'm missing a whole bunch of my bar here. I haven't figured out what to put over here, but my router is working. I have this at the top of my router, this is the bottom of my router. This I have at the bottom because this again is a sandbox of sorts, and it shows me which fonts do what. And I have all these colors which should eventually be represented in different projects to do different things. It's 2 o'clock on Thursday, which means I think it's season finale for Dexter tonight. And I have a lot less stress than I used to. This is just, how do I explain this? it kind of explains simplifying. Um, so if you start at, well, here, what is this called? Footer. Again, I'm trying to orient myself. I've mastered hexes. I can look at the all 8 digits of a hex and have a good idea of what it's going to look like. And I have been working on memorizing the hue table, or not a hue table, but the HSL colors wheel. I'm down. I've done a good enough job that I could probably take it down, but now I find it. Now I'm trying to apply what I know, and I use colors to represent different concepts. I started doing that because my son was both dyslexic and diabetic, and we needed to create a sequence. And when you only write black on white, there isn't much to differentiate the beginning from the end for somebody who's dyslexic. But as soon as we defined the beginning as yellow, and then said you always go from yellow to red to blue, then we had a sequence. We knew which way we were going around the circle. Um, that has been applied now to the HSL wheel, because this isn't just yellow, red, blue. This is yellow, magenta, and cyan, which gives you a slightly different look at the world. Um, Mostly, I think, by opening up so many colors between blue and yellow, which I appreciate. Having a different way to look at things. And Mr. Rogers, his thing was music. He liked to talk about emotions in the context of music, and he could convey feelings through his fingers on the keys. And I am not that good at playing the piano. I learned enough on a keyboard to play what I wanted to play on a violin, and then once I had it in my head, it was easier to make it work with my fingers. So I didn't learn piano. I used the piano as a to target my, what I wanted to do with my violin. All right. So I associate, for example, Rebecca Purple with Celebrate Recovery. So let's do something here. This should be relatively simple, kind of fun, and might explain whatever mental illness you want to attribute me with. After, yeah. Uh, Materialize. Icons. Outline. Icons. All right. So how about we do it this way? Another good use, I think, for ChatGPT is asking it for its opinion on stuff that doesn't really have much consequence. For example, which outline material icon best represents the journey of Celebrate Recovery? A deep and symbolic question. So, it gave us a few. It didn't show me the icons. That kind of makes sense. Kind of doesn't. It is a. Oops, I'm not even sure what that button does. Oh, I see now. Okay. So, let's go to the top above my header, and so before my background images even start. of those that you've given me so I can put them in HTML and pick. That's a little bit more info than I needed. Here we go. We'll go with div. And let's see. Text. I always forget the Tailwinds version of to avoid using pixels, but here we are. I know how to do that. Oops, maybe I don't know how to use that. It's a class. It's here. I'll cheat. Please make them 77 pixels. Using inline HTML. Same snippet, but simplified to use inline. No external CSS and okay, here we go. It seems to me that Celebrate Recovery is a safe space now that so many people are associated with Celebrate Recovery. It feels a little bit less safe for me, but that doesn't interesting. Okay. So what do I want to use to, I'm going to assign this color, I'm going to assign to this the color Rebecca Purple. Self-improvement, volunteer activism, hiking, outlines flag. So let's do this by process of elimination. I don't have warm fuzzies about the church at the moment, mostly because of Israel. I don't like stars. I'm not trying to make it awesome. I think the sun, we can leave that on there. I don't need the flag. I like the walking. I don't know, maybe hiking's a better thing. Volunteer, self-improvement spa. So I've eliminated a couple. I think I like volunteer activism most. Alright, so we will. Oh, weird. Wonder why. Whatever. I put too much stuff in here. Alright. We already have the style sheet added to the thing. That makes more sense that the body isn't actually supposed to be there. And again, I'm just going to comment out the parts that I don't like. What did I decide I wanted? Volunteer activism, I think. At least for now. Oh, right, because Every time it does one of these things, I have to restart the comment. Alright, and volunteer activism is the one I was choosing. So, let's take that over to my, I think this is 04, which is a badly named item, obviously, but whatever. Rebecca Purple. Ooh. Oh, there we go. Of course, I could just search for it with find, but I bet it's one of these that I commented on. There we go. Becca Purple is the color. Class. So let's remind myself. Does it work to use words in Tailwind? Rebecca Purple. It did. Volunteer activism. So I'm going to get rid of this because it's in the button, right? And I'm going to make it a little bit, I think I have all my icons at like 11, yep. So 11 pixels. Now, I haven't made a where is it? Rebecca Purple. Oh, that's teeny. Okay. 11. Alright, there we go. 33 feels better. Let's go back to ChatGPT. What Unicode, preferably with color, best represents the journey of recovery? Or the 12 steps of AA? A rich symbolic question. I think I said that last time. Ooh. That's interesting. I can't really see these. Can I make them bigger? Alright, not really. So let's just do this. Go back to app. Look at the top. Zoom in. Oh, it's a railroad track. I actually kind of like that one now that I know it's a railroad track. A compass is helpful. Sunrise is nice. Rainbow. is a promise, isn't it? Alright, we're gonna go with a rainbow because I can. Alright, now I'm going to comment this stuff out. Obviously, I'm just making garbage, or not garbage, but I'm gonna have to come back and clean this up later. Why is that showing? Alright, here, let's put this in here. Why do you have... Oh, it's this one. Let's get rid of it. Alright, now let's go ahead and continue my... This is where Mel starts telling me I spend too much time on art, which is okay. The easiest thing to do is, oh dear, what did I just do? Duplicate slide. So now I'm going to take the rainbow, make it a bunch bigger, and I'm going to take the materialize icon. What did we choose? It was the hand one. Volunteer activism. Let's do that. Search the web. Where can I download the SVG for? Download the SVG. I mean, if it works, it works. Doesn't look like the right page, but I'm not gonna get upset at a gift horse. Now we're going to insert picture that I just downloaded, which means it's going to be in my downloads. Hopefully. And we're going to make this a lot bigger. A bit bigger still. Center it, by the eye. Send it backwards. I don't know where we can do that. I'm not sure that that's the icon I used. Google outlined address for downloading I don't think it gave me the one that I even wanted. Why is that looking so weird? The outlined version. Choose the outlined tab. Oh my goodness. It really was nice having eyes that work better than this. Outlined. There we go. Download SVG. Now I should have the right one. Delete. Insert picture. This device is going to be the more recent one. I'll make it big. Oop. Alright. Insert picture. This device. It doesn't look like it's giving me the right one. Insert picture, this device. I can tell that it's the most recent one because that one doesn't have a 1. This one is 1, this is 2. And I know it's petty, but I am disappointed. Why is Google not the first link on Google? This doesn't even show correctly. Well, what if I go to my index? Does it look terribly different? This is the right beginning point. I am looking for the outline. Okay, so it shows outlined. Now, volunteer activism. Person raised hand. let's download the SVG. That looks better. That looks like what I thought it was going to look like before. I think I can post all those. I know I can post this because I fixed that yesterday. I don't know what this is about. I do tend to follow people just because it feels like I'm making their day. And insert picture. This device, not the others. Oh please, fingers crossed. There we go. Now, I think the best way to do this is to make this as big as I can. Maybe not quite as big as I can. My intentions will be to take the black off. And I will add that works. This isn't rocket science. So it's saving on in my OneDrive. Save a copy, PNG, browse. We're going to go to my local drive, which is Wasteland. Nope, we're going to go here. And then we're going to go to 125, which is this year. And Tailwinds, because I'm working on a Tailwinds project. And I'm going to go in the work folder. And I'm going to go to PNGs, because I'm saving it as a PNG. Now, I am curious. This is 1. There is a 1. There's even a 2. Let's see if this saves as 3. All slides. Now it's been saved, so I can exit this. I'm going to open Krita. Krita is open. It is free to use. I'm not sure if everything that's free to use is considered open source. I should ask Mel sometime. Alright, so let's close ChatGPT. It's not always useful. Sometimes it isn't. I think that whole process would have been faster if I just went to Google to begin with. Okay, open image. Now, where did it save? Look at that. I think it did save it in here, which means it did overwrite the old one, which is something worth noticing. Now, Rebecca Purple is, I think, 336699. It's wrong. Do I not have anything open? Here we go. Rebecca Purple down here. Here we go. 663399. Makes sense. Get rid of the gray. Get rid of the black. Shift clicking to define where I want my paint to go to. If I remember correctly, it was 663399. And we're going to flood those with the purple. think I wanted white around that rainbow. So let's do this. I still have my still have my Rebecca purple, Rebecca purple, Rebecca purple, and now I'm going to change it to white. And now I'm going to click my magic wand again, click the black, black, just a little bit of black, and I'm going to flood with white, white, white. Close enough for, well, it used to be the expression used to be close enough for government work. Alright, saving it as a PNG, and we're going to call it, this is where I have problems remembering things. Okay, developer tools. Developer tools. I'm going to click on my hand. Oops, I have to find my arrow first. I've got my arrow, here's my hand, and it's called volunteer activism. Volunteer activism, and I want a lowercase PNG because for some reason the software cares. I'm going to put this under work, and then I'm going to save it again in the right directory for this project, which is Nazi public. All this other ones, volunteer activism, lowercase PNG, save, save. Now I should be able to go back to my 04. I'm going to grab my previous image. We know the name of it is that. I also know that it wants me to take off the word public. And I should be able to take off all of this, and if I can't, I can undo it here in a minute. So, what does that look like? Mel would say art. There. And I do like the white because it makes it stand out. Because Rebecca purple is kind of a bold color. Maybe I should make the whole thing purple. I don't know, close enough. It's a little more, well heck, if I want it to be different, I should just change it now instead of complaining later. So what I'm going to do is grab this white that's kind of a little bit too much, and I'm going to replace it with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a quarter. Oh, it doesn't want me to do that. So let's do it this way. Duplicate layer, grab, so now I only see what I'm looking for. I'm going to invert my selection and delete everything. And then I'm going to invert my selection again. I didn't need to do that. I'll just change the opacity of this layer to about 33%. And then I will bring, I want to take it off of this layer. So I'm going to avoid deleting the wrong thing. I'm going to re-add the white. It's a little less obnoxious. And then, let's see. There. That looks a little less obnoxious. You can see the fingers are a little harder, but you know, that's okay. Close enough. Now I'm going to close this. And I think we're going to, well, actually no. We're going to put it up here as a button. Oh, we're going to put it in 16 as a button. So app view. Here, we're going to ask ChatGPT to do something it's good at, which is please give me a view tailwind friendly image with link code. It seems like that should not be taking that long. Oh, look at how complicated it's making it. Alright, give me an inline image link. Alright, and we're going to put that here in 16. And we're going to, the image is called volunteer vol assets. There we go. ER_ACTIVISM. There we go. And we're going to take the color off. There we go. And it a little bit bigger. I think this is too big. Nope. There we go. So, this is what we're using to represent Celebrate Recovery. And YouTube. Well, just considering that they found me, but I wasn't really missing. And what do I say here? Exploring how Cindy's grandkids can forgive Cindy's kids through growing ginkness to remember that Jesus was a Palestinian opposed to nationalism who encouraged us good neighbors to everyone we meet along our ecclesiastical journey. Alright, and so this is the YouTube link, and I'm tired. This is a long time for me to be sitting in one spot. I have a pelvic girdle, whatever. I have a hard time staying put sitting. I also have a hard time standing. Yeah, that's a long conversation. So now I have a destination. So let's put that there in some tiny letters. Excellent. I didn't think it would respond to the size like it did. That's that, and then that's more important to me than 17, and we're going to just copy the whole thing from 16, and I'm not going to finish it right now, but this one's going to be at Stay Sissy, and I'll work on that later. And then I'm going to put one more on here. I think it's this, but I'll check it later, because I'm just putting in what I need to do, not what I'm doing at the moment. And then I'm going to push, because when it's working, if you're happy, if it's working and you know it, git commit. Alright. Git add, git commit, added volunteer activism. Git push, and that's going to go to GitHub. And I have an alarm set for 25 minutes from now to start the next thing. So I'm going to take a 25-minute break so that my bones have a chance to recover from this exceedingly long push. And I know this is just what work looks like. I'm not trying to, I'm trying to make it, I am trying to re-enter the adult world after experiencing terrorism. And my terrorism, the terrorism that I experienced is over, and I need to figure out how to heal enough to earn a living in a world that has had no problem telling me I should just go off alone and die. Um, but I recognize that anybody who actually says that is somebody who is disqualifying themselves from uh, anything reasonable that I can even counter with, because it is so toxic that I'm obligated to ignore it. I mean, they're even making it easy for me to ignore it, because as soon as somebody says go off alone and die, you know that that is somebody who you should not be listening to. And I say you, but I mean I knew as soon as my siblings told me to go off alone and die that they were not the people that I should be listening to at that point in their journey and in my journey. I was looking for I was looking for medical help, and we are unfortunately living in a world where MAGA is has been elected, and Trump even said it himself. Um, why don't the Hispanics, or the migrant workers, why do they not break their back, or why doesn't it break their back? Because if they break their back, they just die, and that is a true thing. Um, I recognize that I wouldn't be alive except for the extraordinary um, efforts that medical people have made. I mean, I was a recipient of a blood transfusion at 2 in North Carolina while we were living at the Fort Bragg base there. And I wouldn't have made it past puberty here in Oregon, except that Kaiser Permanente was the best that money could buy, and my dad was working with places like JPL for NASA. So while he wasn't the rocket scientist, he was the one who was taking the what the rocket scientists wanted to do and putting it into the computer so that the calculations could be done. Um, and like I said, I have a timer coming off in well, now 20 minutes, so I should hang up, post this, and get on to the next task. I am going to sign off with two things. First of all, Jesus was a Palestinian. And the second thing I'm going to say is itekimasu.